1. Okay, there we go. We're recording. Okay. So
Okay.
I'm Eric Gardner, and this is
Hi, I'm Daniela Garcia.
and today we're going to be discussing parental involvement in secondary education. Um, and so the question that you posed to us, or well, the requirement you posed to us was to give like a 2-sentence explanation of what our topic was. And uh, Danielle and I kind of approached this separately. So I figured we would each go over our 2 sentences and kind of see where where the commonalities and where they're difference. So
Yes.
my 2 sentences is basically that parental involvement in education of children is without a doubt beneficial. I mean, that we don't have to even question that. But when we say parental involvement, we need to define what we mean and understand what that entails. And further, as a teacher without children of my own, I want to know what the best methods are for getting parents involved in their child's education, and how can I effectively implement that in what I do with my students and contacting with the parents.
Yeah, perfect. Like that is your approach as a teacher, right? We talk about that, and my approach was as a parent, also not only as a teacher, because of course I'm a mother, right? So for me, the 2 sentences explanation, it was that of course parental involvement plays a crucial role, right, in supporting students' success, fostering positive educational outcomes, strengthening relationships between home and school, and creating a supportive environment. So you see, my perspective is that home and the relationship between a school and home has to be always um, a, 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 a good relationship. They always have to exist. One is what I mean. They cannot be separate one from each other. So that was my explanation about or our topic, parental involvement in secondary settings.
So, as like a parent, how what do you feel like your expectations are when we say parental involvement? Do you feel like you're expected to like volunteer at the school, or is it more of like on a personal home basis? Like what do you feel? Because that's kind of where I dived into, was like
Yes.
what are we saying when we're asking for parents to be involved?
What does it mean, right? And that's a really good question, because most of the time we think that parental involvement consists only on going to school and be part of the PTO programs and be there whenever they have like a thing in the school, and we help as a volunteers. But I don't think it's only that, because a lot of parents work and they cannot be there, right, when those things happening at school, because normally it's during the time that they're working. But it's not only be involved in that sense, it's also be involved at home, and be involved in the sense of checking out on your kid. I mean, he goes or she goes to school, that person is learning there, right, is living and spending a lot of time of their life in that setting. So whenever they're home, it's not like you don't deal with the school stuff. You have to be involved. You have to see what is going on. You have to see what the teachers are teaching your kids, and you have to see if they're able to understand what they're learning. Because if they don't, you are the one who can approach the teacher and said, you know what, something is going on. My kid is not understand then you whenever you're teaching math or science or whatever it is, instead of waiting for the teacher to send you an email or to give you a call because your kid is not doing good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, we have to see the other part of the perspective. Some parents, as I told you, we think our kids are the best and they never will make any mistakes, right? So that's also like a sensitive part I see as a teacher to manage, because whenever you say that your kid may need, a little improvement, or you will have to, as a parent, work a little harder with your kid at home, that may, create some conflict. So it's a sensitive thing. But I guess if both parts get in an agreement and work together because you both have the same goal to get your kid the best possible way, to be educated and to be socially well in the school and whatever it is. So I guess that can work. That can work, and be have parents involved in that sense in the school. I think is great, and it should happen all the time, not just in PTOs and things like that.
And I can hear in your response the teacher uh that's there with the parent aspect, you know. Um but I was thinking, like, what about like parents that don't have that background in like education like you do? Like, how are they going to recognize when, you know, because kids don't always come to their parents and be like, "Hey, I'm struggling, help," you know, like, so like not everyone's going to have that initiative or understanding or background to be like, "Oh, I should check in with my kids and like you know, get involved with them." But it's extremely important that they do that because, you know, like you're saying, they work all day, they get home at 5, they have until like the kids go to bed at 9, and they just want to relax. But ultimately, like, you got to be there, you got to be a part of their kids, you know, lives. And it's actually like from the research that I've been doing, it has shown that it has so many positive benefits in like GPA or standardized testing or emotional intelligence and like you know, overall demeanor, respect for rules and stuff. Like parental involvement in the kids' education has so many benefits. Um but specifically related to what the requirements are for a parent, for parents, I looked up into that. And so there's this lady, Epstein. She wrote something in which she like broke it down into 6 types of parental involvement, um, such as parenting, which is the basic, communication, volunteering, and then learning at home, and then collaborative decision making, and then collaboration with the community. So like I was like, okay, so that gives me like a better idea of what was being asked. But then there's also like more researchers that are like, oh well, it's actually these, or oh well, it's actually these. So I would think it would be really nice if we could come up with a consensus of like what we define as, you know, what parental involvement is, you know.
Well, yeah, and I agree with you. And parental involvement is everything. Uh, if you do research as I did, you will find different aspects and different ways that a parent can be involved in schools, right? I guess that is a perspective depending on who is writing the research and what points that person wants to you see. But if we talk about like a precise things for a parent to be involved or important ones, I think like yeah, parenting is something that it shouldn't even be there because it's nature, right? It's what you have to do whenever you're a parent. And but I think it's like academic support. And it got my attention what you say because you said, well, not that many people know, for example, math. And if my kid comes with a math problem, I don't have an idea what that is. I don't even remember how I'm gonna help him, right? Some parents, I guess, they feel that stress,
Mhm.
and that happens. But you as a teacher, you have to know, like, if a kid will approach you saying, I don't understand this, you will help him, right? Because that's your job.
Yeah.
The same can happen with a parent. A parent can say, you know what, I'm seeing that my kid is not understanding what he's doing. I cannot explain because, I don't know what is that about. Please help him. But the thing here, and the important thing here, Eric, is to build trust between the teacher and the parent. Because as a parent, I don't want to say that I don't know, and like I don't know that thing because I'm supposed to know it, right? I went to school too, supposedly, right? And I learned that. So maybe some parents will feel ashamed that they don't know and they don't want to express that feeling to the teacher. But that's why I think trust, like the building trust, is super important. It's one of the main things when you want to have parents involved into, yeah, just not like the school settings, but into your classroom and into your kids' academic achievement,
Yeah, and just like
right?
you said, like it's you feel like you should know this stuff, but ultimately you don't use it, you lose it kind of situation.
Exactly.
And so if you don't know something, that's fine. But you're right. It's building that communication and that ability to like reach out to the teacher or the teacher to reach out to you and talk. Because another thing I found is that uh, how a teacher approaches a parent has a really big really determines on how involved that parent is going to be. And so,
Exactly.
like, if you approach them in a negative way, they're going to get defensive. Like, they're going to assume you're criticizing their parenting style, and it's going to, you're going to end up pushing them away from, being a part or involved because they're going to be like, oh, well, I don't like your teacher. I don't like his attitude. Like, don't listen to him. And it's just going to create
Exactly.
negativity where it doesn't need to be. So it's really important that
Exactly. And
we
that's
figure out, you know.
exactly, exactly. So I think one of the most important thing, as you said, is building. Yeah, communication for me is the most important thing in everything, not just among teachers and parents, but among teachers, parents, students, school authorities, among everyone. That's the first thing that I will recommend to do. Building trust, and as a teacher, um, be understandable. And I know that teachers had a lot on their plates, right? And they're always constantly working, and they have to keep up with all these kids and see who's struggling, who is not, and how I'm gonna contact all these parents that I don't know. I call them and they don't answer. Well, that is because you also don't know what is happening, at home. But if you build, yeah, like since the beginning, you create this communication feeling with them, as you said. You give them the sense that they can contact you if they have a problem, they don't know something. That will come along, and they won't have to work that hard to get a parent getting involved into their kids' academic or into the school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you did that from the beginning. Meaning you didn't wait until the midterm or until the end when nothing was everything was gone. So that's one thing that I think is important as a teacher and as a parent, because as a teacher it will make your life a lot more easier if you have a good communication with the parent since the beginning, right? You don't wait until the end. And for the parent as well, because yeah, maybe you don't have the time to look at your kids, homework or whatever it is. But I can tell you as a parent, even if you're a bad parent, you know if something is going on with your kid. That is something that you can sense. I mean, it's not like they have to tell you. Maybe some not don't, but most of parents we do know what is going on, and if they're struggling or something, you can feel that.
And even
So
if it's not school related, you
exactly,
yeah.
exactly, because that's another thing. I mean, I was reading and it got my attention, and I'm thinking about this, about emotional and social support, because with everything that is going on now in at schools, and we're like, yeah, kids are harming themselves, and they're like being so violent and bullying and all that. And you always think about schools, the schools authorities, the teacher, they're not doing anything because my kids is being bullying, or the kids are being bullying, or and nothing is happening. But that's why parents need to be involved, you know because especially with adolescents, they're really in a difficult and critical time of their lives, because they don't know where to go. They're kind of confused. So I think as a parent you need to be involved, not just at home but also at school, and see what is happening there, um, who your kid is hanging out with, which classes is your kid taking, and who are their teachers. Because what I feel that happen often in secondary schools is that once they get there, you don't even know who their teachers are, because you never hear about them. And that is, for me, is terrible. I'm not saying that the teacher will email the parent every week, saying, oh, your kid is doing super good and whatever it is. But you need to get to know the teachers. And sometimes is it's just not the teacher's job to approach you, but also it's your job, right, to as a parent, to go and say, this is my kid, he likes science, he doesn't like math. Please, if something happens, just let me know. So it's a cooperation. It's a relationship that you have to build. It has to be built between both teachers and uh, parents,
Especially when you talk
because
about
it's a lot of, yeah.
Oh, especially when you talk about like bullying and like sensitive topics like that, you have to meet in a common ground where you both are saying, we want what's best for your kid student and approach it that way so that it's not where like you're saying like parents think their kids can't do anything wrong or like they're precious angels and then like or in the reverse they're hearing about the bullying and so you need to come together and work
Exactly.
productively instead of being like you're not doing this or you're not doing this and it confrontationally gets nothing done so
Exactly. And in both parts, right? So communication is super important. Building trust is super important.
mm,
Another thing that I think also is super important is is positive school climate. And maybe it's not the school that has a positive climate, because as a teacher you cannot manage that, right? But
mm,
your classroom, yes, you can build that in your classroom, so it has a positive attitude and a positive climate. I think your kid will transmit that to the parent, and the parent will feel confident and will approach the teacher if the parent needs to, or will get involved in many different things, because that's what your kid is transmitting to you. um, but I want to tell you, and I want to just little quick talk about this, because I found that some barriers, because we just talk about how good is parents to be involved, right? But we
mm,
don't think about what you were talking, like time constraints. A lot of parents, they work, they don't have time, as you were saying.
yeah
Um, Limited resources too. I mean, some parents, faces some socioeconomic challenges which don't allow them to be that involved, like language barriers, like if they don't speak any English, how they're going to communicate with their teacher or with the school authorities. That's another thing. And also, what you were saying, lack of awareness. I mean, the lack of awareness is that they don't fully understand the importance of their involvement in a school. And that's another issue that I think, as a teachers, we should think how to create and to create awareness about that. And another thing is that the negative experiences I was reading about that, or perceptions that parents have in schools, because maybe they didn't have a good experience when they were students,
yeah
so they think that all the teachers are bad. So they will never approach one teacher. They will never get involved because they know that is, maybe they think is not good,
or even
and
subject, they may not have liked math or they may not have liked language or they may not have liked science. And so that kind of trickles down to the mentality trickles down to the student. And so like you got to be aware of that too, that, a lot of learned traits come from parental, uh, attitude. So
yeah.
like in their opinion.
Exactly, but also, so you have those barriers as a teacher. So you have
Mm,
to think how. And I was reading, because it got in my head. I was like, okay, we know, all this is happening, and you will have kids that have parents like this. So what you can you do to, you know, um, to kind of like create a better environment and get parents involved. So I was reading, and the first thing that comes in every research that I read was clear communication. Like, communication is the base for everything, Eric. I
yeah.
am a believer of that. So that's one thing. And also, like I was telling you, a welcoming environment. Because at one point or some point, you will have to meet the parent, and you will have to show them that you are a person who welcomes everyone, no matter the backgrounds or anything, and you will do whatever you can in order to help their kids. And also, you have to be flexible. I was reading about that, a flexible involvement opportunities. It's not like they just can call you from, I don't know, until 5. They can send you an email or give you a call or send you a message whenever they can, whenever they can meet. And if they cannot go to the school because they don't have a way how to get there, because sometimes they don't have cars or way, to get around, well, you can play around, and maybe, I don't know, if is permitted, but meet in a park or some place where the parent can go,
Mhm.
and meet with you. Like just flexibility. I think that's super important. And if you see that the parent is not like hasn't have resources or things like that, help him with that. Help the parent, give him, resources and uh I don't know, ways where he can or she can learn, communicate, or learn more about what a school is, what that your kid is learning. um I'm a Spanish speaker, right? I speak English, but sometimes I have friends who didn't, and the teachers were the ones who, okay, I don't speak Spanish, but I can have this resource. I can call someone now, or you can go here, and we can meet here where they can help us, with the translation. So you see, as a teacher, you do a little bit more of what you're used to, and that creates trust, that creates a good environment, and that way the parent will be more involved in the schools.
Yeah,
That's
what I'm hearing from you is that you have to be more willing to meet the parent in their needs along with how you meet the student with their needs. So like be aware of the parent's schedule, work with their schedule, not like this is my time, this is rigid, you have to meet my.
flexibility.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
you have to be able to work with the parent in a way that still allows the parent to have their life and do the things that they need to provide and like go to work and all this stuff that their responsibilities, and then at the same time get them involved in your responsibilities of educating their student, their kid.
exactly. And you can give them resources, you can help them with that, but they also have to do their part. It's not just you, because you are already with their kid. You cannot be their teacher too. And I like and I appreciate what you said, and I like this discussion because one of my questions was how can teachers get parents involvement in the secondary schools in a long term, because sometimes it's just they go for the meeting and that's it. You won't
Mhm.
see them anymore, and they will have to go because they have to see how the kids are doing, and they don't come back never again. You don't see them again.
Not to
So
mention
how?
what when you say long term, after a year they go on to another teacher. How do you get that routine to stick for them with other teachers, or
That's the thing.
yeah.
That's the thing. It's not only with you, but if they already learn how to be involved in schools with you as a teacher, they will continue doing it, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's like the other teacher, they're bad and they don't care. Yeah, it can happen, but they will have that. It's like it's something that they will get used to, right? So they will keep doing it. So that's why I like, because what those that's one of my questions, and I kind of like give me an answer, and yeah, that's the thing. You have to get parents involved in a long term and do all these things so they can continue being involved in the schools.
So, based off of your research, how do you feel all of this understanding that you've developed will impact your practice? I think that, like, since we're we're at 23 minutes, I figured we could get that last like little bit out, and
Okay.
then
Yeah,
like,
super quick. Well, how like as a teacher, I think it will create a supportive ecosystem. That benefits both the students, teachers, well, and also the parents. And by strengthening the teacher-parent relationship, I will be able to create positive and engaging classroom environment to improve a student's outcome, because all of this is for the good of a student, right?
yeah.
And it also will understand my students' needs. I will have to understand my students' needs in a better way because I know the parents, right? I got to meet them and communicate with them, which will help me in the long run to have a better communication with the students, and also reinforce learning. If I need for the parents to be with me on the same page and work with the kid, I will have that. So that's what I think it will impact me in my practice. What about you, Eric?
I am deathly afraid of parents. I know I know that sounds
Don't
really
be.
bad. But I have like this is one of my fears of being a teacher. So dealing with parents, I believe, is like a really daunting task because and it can develop like into a very frustrating situation depending on what the context is. you never want to approach a parent about like a disciplinary thing that's happening with their kid, and like you always feel really bad because they always feel like you're judging them. So I hate confrontation, and I get really weirded out. But conversely, I feel like it can really lead to enriching the environment for the student. Getting their parents involved, and it can also help like really build like better bonds with the student and the parent and you and the student. It's like this like
Everyone.
yeah, it's just like this building up. So like I don't feel that it isn't solely for the teacher to instigate and initiate like this interaction. I
Bonding,
feel like
yes. Yeah.
it's a two-way like street, and that like both parent and should be receptive and teacher should be receptive. And I know that I will be making it a priority to make initial contact with parents sooner than I will like at a later, because I feel like initially like we did like writing the mission statements and the introductory, to yourself, and instead of just doing that with like the students, you need to send that home to the parents. You need to get to know, like you're saying, who is not a native English speaker, so maybe you can put something in their language or get it translated into something that so that you can reach
Exactly.
everyone. And I feel like
Yeah.
knowing all of these details that I've kind of been researching, uh it'll help me understand how I can interact with parents the way that'll benefit the student. um I'm just really scared of parents, so
Don't be scared. We can be tough sometimes, but as I told you, at the end, teachers and parents, we both want the best for our kids,
yeah.
you know? So if you communicate with them and show them like a friendly environment, a welcoming environment, I assure you that you won't have to be afraid of them because they will work with you.
I
Even if
think
they're the toughest parents, they will understand that the only thing that you want is not criticize their kid and to tell them that they're not doing bad. It's just you care, and that's a very important differentiation. You care about their kid.
I think
It's
that
not
when
only you care about their grades, you care about their well-being, and that's what you need to transmit to them. And if you do that, Eric, you win.
yeah,
They will be with you. Yeah, at your side.
I agree. Absolutely. Yeah.
Hmm.
So long
So
as
I
we
guess we win.
so long as we state that we're both there for the best of the student, I think that both of us mentally will be on the same page, and it'll kind of ease out like, hey, we're not here to say, you're not doing your job or you're not doing your job. We're saying that, hey, there's an issue, and we want what's best for the kid, and that's where we need to come together.
Yeah, exactly. The well-being, the whole well-being. It's not just grades, not just math. It's the whole thing. Yeah. Okay. I guess we passed our time, but
We did,
I don't know.
yeah, we're well over. We're like 28 minutes.
Okay. So I guess we have to stop and say bye and thank you. And I hope you enjoy your discussion.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.